welcome back to the channel here. A little bit of a different video for you guys today. Something that's been highly requested of myself in our Madden chat, with the guys, right? Brett, TSAP, all the people who play in these leagues. They love the tier list that I did last year, so they were asking for another tier list this year. So basically, this is where I go in and rank some of the regulars, right, in these leagues, kind of put them in, S, A, B tier, depending on how I personally see them. Now, I'll be going on a few different criteria here. Number one, it's going to be how many Super Bowls / playoff appearances one has received, right? So if I think somebody's good, but they've never even made the playoffs, I can't really put them S or A tier, right? Number two, once we get into that, we'll look at the amount of team, right? We'll look at the teams that they had, right? So if you start with the Chiefs, I don't think that's as, it doesn't hold as much weight if you start with the Colts and made the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And again, these are my personal opinions here. If you want to make your own tier list based off of this list, feel free. I'll leave the link below. Feel free to make a list and tag me and just let me know what you guys think. But yeah, man, let's hop into it and enjoy the video. Alright guys, I just recorded this whole video. I went back and noticed that I had no audio, so I'm recording it once again. So essentially guys, as I said in the intro, I am basically ranking some of the key members of our leagues who have been in it for quite some time, and just kind of going through, putting them in a tier list based off of my own discretion. So I'm basing this off of playoff appearances / Super Bowls, and then also some of the teams that they've built over time. So if you start off as like the Chiefs or like the Packers, some of the best teams in the game, I wouldn't rank you as high as somebody who started off with like the Colts or the Texans, who have been able to build that team up over time. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Again, this is my second time recording this, so I have a good idea of where I want to rank people. First, we have Cameron. So Cameron, he's been in these leagues for quite some time now, for the past couple years, but he's had a pretty good Madden 23 so far. He is the Cardinals, where TD is the Bears, and then he is also the Saints, where TD is the Egyptians. He gives me trouble. I know he gives other good players like TD trouble as well, but he isn't really consistent in the playoffs, man. Like he can make it there, but he's usually losing in the divisional at best, like usually wild card though. So for that reason, I'm going to give him a B tier, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the mid B tier range, but we'll see how that shakes out. Next we have Vero. Vero has been in these leagues for a couple years now as well. He's a good kid. He's actually the Washington football team, and he actually beat me in year one of that Egyptians league where I'm the Ravens. So yeah, he's really, really good. He's usually in the playoffs, but my one knock on Vero is he was the Steelers in the Bears league, and he had like a losing record every single season. And then in this league, he made the playoffs. He made the Super Bowl that first year, but after that, I think he made playoffs once. So for that reason, we definitely can't give him S tier. I think I'm going to give him A tier, and it might be like a mid to low A tier, just because he's not consistent, man. And for this tier list specifically, I think you need to be consistent, and that's something we're really keying in on. Next, we got Brady. Brady has been in this league for quite some time. He's been in all of our leagues, essentially, and honestly, to put it nicely, he doesn't really make playoffs all too often, man. He struggles quite a bit. So Brady is the Patriots in the Egyptians league, but then he was also, I'm blanking on the other team that he was in the Bears league. But either way, he's been in every league. He doesn't make playoffs too often, and for that reason, I'm gonna have to give him C tier. I think he's a good player. Do I think his play style is C tier worthy? No. But based off the other criteria of him never being able to make the playoffs and go far, I think he's going to be C tier, unfortunately. Next, we have AJ. So AJ is the Kansas City Chiefs in the Egyptians League. He actually just beat TD in the Super Bowl. He was the Saints for a while in the Bears League. Now, AJ is a really good player, man. He actually kicked me out the playoffs last season. He's a really, really good player. However, I think him getting the Chiefs to start in this new franchise really helped him, because when he had the Saints in the other franchise, he struggled a bit. So for that reason, I think he's S tier for sure. He's a great player, but I don't think he's upper S tier. So he's going to be one for now, but he's going to move down for sure. Now, TD Barrett is next here. let's go ahead and skip him for a second. We'll come back to him in a little bit. Next, we have MEQ. MEQ, really good guy. He's been in these leagues for quite some time. He's like the nicest guy in these leagues. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life. He's really good, but he's one of those guys who just can't seem to get past like the divisional or the wild card, unfortunately. And again, he's the Packers in the Egyptians League and in the 49ers in the Bears League. So with that being said, I'm going to go B tier. I'm going to put him right behind Cam. I would love to see MEQ get a Super Bowl at some point, man, but he just hasn't been able to make that jump just yet. Moving on, though, we have Darian next. So Darian has been really helpful these past couple weeks. He's moved into a commission role with myself because I've been like super busy at work. Darian's a good player. He just lost to TD though in the championship game in the Egyptians League. I think he got like 21-0, which was a little bit embarrassing. Not gonna lie to you guys. So honestly, Darian, I think he's A tier. I think I'm gonna put him behind Vera. So now this three right here, they're like in a little trio. I think AJ is better than Darian. Do I think Vero is better than AJ? Me personally, I do think Vero is better, but just based off of the playoff appearances and the consistency, I think AJ's S tier while Vero is A tier, and Darian is close behind them both. Moving on to Jonas. You guys know Jonas. Jonas is the cards in the Egyptians League. He's been in these leagues for quite some time now. I think Jonas is a great player, don't get me wrong, but he's not consistent. Oftentimes he'll go wild card, divisional, lose, and that's pretty honestly consistent with him. For that reason, I'm going to give him B tier. I'm going to put him right here. I think Jonas is a great player, but again, consistency is not there. Next, we got Bryce. Bryce is probably best known for like beating TD 7 times in a row as the Packers against TD's Bears. But I mean, once TD's Bears started getting good, Bryce started struggling, and then in this new league where he's the Texans, he hasn't made the playoffs, which honestly isn't too surprising because the Texans are pretty bad to start. So I'm not faulting him too much for that, but for his inconsistency and lack of playoff success, I think I'm gonna give Bryce like, and this might be a hot take, but I'm gonna give him low B tier, man. I think Bryce's play style and how good he is upper A tier, but that playoff success just isn't there, unfortunately. So that's where he lands, man. All right, let's circle back and let's do myself, TD, and then T-Sub. So myself, I've had a pretty good run at Madden 23. I'm pretty much consistently in the playoff picture in the top 4. Ravens League, I made it to the Super Bowl and then lost in the Super Bowl. Second year, made it to the championship game, lost in the championship game. Next year, made it to the wild card. I'm the Bucks, where TD's the Bears. I've made playoffs pretty much every single season. I think, honestly, because of my lack of Super Bowl success, I cannot be S tier, obviously. But I do think I'm A tier, and I am going to put myself upper A tier. Now, that might be a hot take. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. I have made playoffs pretty much every single season, and I go far every single time. I don't think people really want to play me in the playoffs because like I do show up and show out in the playoffs, okay? I'm not going to lie. Vera does have a Super Bowl, which I do not. However, I'm consistent where I don't believe Vera really is. That's just my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think, man. It's a hot take. It's a hot take. All right, so next we got Tdbarrett, man. We got the boy TD, my guy. T has had a lot of success in these leagues, man. You guys know the Bears have become an absolute powerhouse. The Egyptians are well on their way. He takes pretty much every single fantasy draft team to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl. You know, you got to give TD his credit when his credit's due. In Madden 22, I didn't think TD was that crazy, but in Madden 23, he's really stepped up his skill overall. I do think that TD is S tier, and I do think he's above AJ. So for right now, TD is taking the number 1 spot. He's a really good team builder. He's also just a really good player in general. Got to give him his flowers when it's due, man. Next, we got T-Sap. So you guys know T-Sap is my boy here, and honestly, T-Sap has had a great Madden 23. He started off really bad. Like, he was bad for the first month, like, terrible. But he really found some success in this New York Giants playbook. And then, like, he's turned into a little bit of a beast, man. His team building has been second to none. In fantasy drafts, he does a great job. But also, when he's the Giants, his team is amazing, bro. He built that Giants team into one of the best teams I've ever seen. And the London Black Knights are well on their way to a similar path. He's made, I think, 4, 5 Super Bowls. He's won 3, 4. And for that reason, I honestly think that TSAP is the top dog right now in Tdbarrett'S Madden 23 leagues. I think that's a hot take. I think him and Brett are 1A, 1B, but I think TSAP's taking the 1A position, man. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. That's a hot take. It's controversial, I know, but I think it's true. I think it's right. Next up, we got Carson. He's newer to these leagues. He was the Chargers in the Egyptians league. I mean, he hasn't made playoffs yet with the Chargers, so for that reason alone, he's going to be D tier, unfortunately. Forbes, good friend of mine. He's been in these leagues for quite some time. He's the Lions, where TD is the Bears, and he was the Bears in the Egyptians league. Now, I think Forbes is a good player. However, he doesn't really play too often his games. He misses a bunch of games, a little bit inconsistent, and for that reason of inconsistency and never making playoffs, I do think he's going to be lower C tier. Next, we have C3. Now, he's a good player. He's the Raiders, where TD's the Egyptians. He's the Panthers, where TD's the Bears. And, I mean, he's relatively new, but he hasn't really had too much playoff success. And, again, for that reason, I'm going to probably put him C tier. I think he's a good player, but, again, you got to start showing me you can win in the playoffs, or else, like, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Next up, we have David. Now, David, you guys might not recognize the name. He's Poetic Rockstar in, that's his gamer tag, and he is the Browns in the Egyptians league, and I think, like, the Jets in the Bears league. Now, I think David's a really, really, really good player, but he's super inconsistent. He'll, like, take a bunch of forced losses and then, like, miss out on playoffs. Last season, though, he played all his games. He was the 1 seed in the AFC. I think he lost to, I forget who he lost. Maybe TSAP. I think he lost to TSAP in the division. Oh, he lost to TSAP in the championship round last season. I think David is really good. If he played all his games and was more consistent, he would easily be A tier, but he doesn't. So for that reason, I'm going to put him at upper B tier. I think that's a fair analysis right there. And last but not least, we have my boy Luke. You guys know Luke. It's Luke XPL. He's the Titans in TD's Bears league. He's been in these leagues for years and years. Luke is super consistent. He's always top 2. I mean, dude's a beast. The kid's a nerd. All right, he's really good at the game. And yeah, he's obviously S tier, but now in S tier, where do I want to place him? Now, I know he's won a couple Super Bowls from the fantasy drafts. Honestly, I'm probably going to give Luke right above AJ. I don't think Luke is better than TSAP or TD with even teams right now as it stands. Also, TSAP and TD's team building is on another level than Luke's, unfortunately. So yeah, I think that's the S tier category stamped. A tier, I like the A tier. B tier is arguable, where I could move Bryce up for sure, but I'm going to keep it as is based off, again, playoff success and whatnot. And then, yeah, this is it. This is my list, man. So again, this is the pre-Express League Madden 23 TDBarrett tier list. There's gonna be another one coming out when we finish up the Express Leagues at the very, very end of Madden 23, going into Madden 24. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. I'll be back at it again soon, man. Peace.